Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of 410 Sports Talk. I'm James Haskell, along with my co-host Glenn Martin on a Friday night, talking about all things Ravens training camp. Things are hot and heavy, and we're excited to talk about it. Give you all the news and notes, our take, what we're worried about, what we're not, everything else in between. But as always, we have a great sponsor of the show, which Glenn, my man Glenn, is going to talk about.
Yes, BetOnline. It is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything online sports betting. Right now, you can receive a 50% free bet up to $250 on your first deposit to bet on anything from the Olympics to baseball to Formula One racing. BetOnline has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to the online casino and get in a hand of blackjack, some poker, or unwind on one of the 150 slot games they have available. Head to the website today, get in on the action, use promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Let's go. Glenn, really quickly, before we talk Ravens, though,
Yep.
anybody that you're concerned about with the USA team?
What do you mean, basketball?
Yeah, as far as an opponent.
Well, I think it's pretty glaring. I can kind of hear myself through your mic, by the way. I don't know how that's
Okay.
working. What I find interesting is that LeBron is still the best player in the world. I mean, we can try and name another guy all you want, but the bottom line is when the collection of the best players in the world are all there, they're all looking to LeBron. LeBron scored the last, 11 points they had in their last game. He won the game before that. It's like when all the best players are there, guess who they're looking at? They're looking at the king. And it's crazy when he's in year 22, 40 years old. And everyone's like, Devin Booker, 1 of 8 last time I saw him. Like, who is this guy? Doing absolutely nothing. The two most dominant players on that team is old-ass LeBron and old-ass Steph Curry. And then it's a massive drop from there. And that's just, it was surprising to me. I thought Ant would do that. I was surprised.
Yeah, I hate to sound old, but sometimes you just wonder about like the mentality of younger guys sometimes. You know what I mean? But I gotta ask you this question. We'll talk Ravens, I promise. But so when you're talking about LeBron being the best in the world, I think it's undisputed. I agree with you, but I think some people like to think that Steph Curry might be the best point guard of all time. Where are you on that?
I mean, I'm okay with it because the guys who they argue against were before my generation. So Magic and Isaiah, those guys are before my time. So I hear those arguments, but to me, Steph Curry completely transformed the game, not just like the NBA, but the entire sport of basketball, changed it from every level, ground up, and encouraged way more kids to start playing, way more girls, I think, to start playing, because it showed that a person who looks small on the court, by the way, is my height in real life, so he's not
a small
short.
dude.
But on the court, he looks like a
Relative to
tiny
peers.
guy. Yeah, and he's so relatable. Like every fan can say, I could do that. If I worked hard enough, I could do that. I can't grow 6'9" like LeBron, but I can shoot like that if I work my ass off. So I think I'm going to go with yes. I'm okay with putting him up there. Why not? He's a champion. He's done it all. He broke the three. He's the greatest shooter of all time. So yeah, I'm okay with it.
I'll
Who
leave
would
my
you put
opinion.
above him?
It's hard for me to grade him as like I mean, I know that's his position, but like, and I don't want to sound like a purist. Like, we have a quarterback that's different than everyone else, and they're similar in that way. They play the position their own way. But man, I mean, just in tapes, like Magic is a point guard made from God, right? Like that's just kind of the way that you can watch him on film, the way that he commands the court, the way the vision and things like that, the ability that he has to, increase the talent around him. A lot like LeBron, right? But I don't know. I just wonder sometimes. I have some questions, but no, Steph's amazing. Don't get me wrong. But I never really asked you that, so I was curious to get your thoughts. But certainly, best shooter of all time. However, I will say this: even though he's in Dallas and he's had some struggles, I think in a spot up, unguarded, no dribble contest, I think Steph Curry loses to Klay Thompson.
Well, in that particular contest, but as far as being able to create your own shot and shoot off the dribble, Steph's got him there. And I'm a Klay guy, but Steph's
no chance. No chance.
I
mean,
no chance.
Not a chance.
I mean, that quick trigger off of any, I mean, he's freakish. But anyway, we're here to talk Ravens football. What's up, Tyler? What's going on, buddy? Lisa Ann, hope you're doing well. RJ, appreciate you. Yes, Lamar was still out today, and that's I think where we're going to start. Right? We were so excited about today's practice being the first padded practice, assuming that Lamar, since he returned 2 days prior to at least a limited participation where he got in about half of practice, a little over an hour. We expected him, okay, well, this is a good warm-up. He has tomorrow off. He'll be back with his teammates on Friday with the first padded practice. Ultimately, not the case. And so, Jimmy, he's still dealing with the illness. We're not sure what that illness is. But are you first of all starting to get concerned for Lamar in the sense that, man, this is an awfully long illness for a young, incredibly, at least healthy. I would assume he's healthy. He's fit. He's a professional athlete. I would assume he's extremely healthy, but this is really kicking his butt right now. What's your take on the illness and how long it's taking him out?
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I think it's a weird thing because I think if this were midseason, end of season, starting the playoffs, I don't even know if this would maybe they would say miss a couple of practices, certainly not missing any games. So you wonder how much of this is like, well, it's just early type thing, right? And then you don't want to bring him back into action today and it's padded practice, right? It's like, well, welcome home type thing, right? And so maybe you let him ramp up and just start clean next week. But it is kind of weird and it's kind of a bummer because, I'll let you speak to this because this was your point before we started the show. But at what point does it start to kind of stunt the growth? That might be a bit extreme, but I'm trying to think of a better term for it. Really kind of stifle the offense a little bit because the other position groups are struggling to get what they need out of practice.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly right. Now, look, it's not Lamar's fault that he got sick, but I think what you're saying is completely right. It's when Lamar is not out there, just look at the results of these practices right now. As of yesterday, before today's padded practice, Marlon Humphrey had 2 interceptions so far. Arthur Marlette had 2 interceptions and a third one that was negated by a penalty. Eddie Jackson had a pick 6. Marcus Williams has had a pick 6. Kyle Hamilton has a pick. Nate Wiggins has a pick. Jalen Armour Davis has one. Trayvon Mullen has one. That's 10 picks in the first 4 days of practice. And so, hey, we got a good defense, right? I don't think that they're scrubs and that they're just being gifted interceptions. Hats off to them and credit for them. But I got to imagine they're being aided in the fact that we have a rookie 6th-round draft pick and a 10-year journeyman as our quarterbacks. And then Emory Jones, and I think there's another one in there that, forgive me for forgetting his name, but I got to imagine that the wide receivers would be further along in their development, certainly the young guys. I mean, the same can be said for really every position. So it's just a shame that he's dealing with this because the work that the quarterbacks behind Lamar are getting to those guys on the outside is not even close to the kind of work that they'd be getting if Lamar was there. And the good thing is, Jimbo, I see you're going through some stuff here. Oh, you're good. Okay.
No, you're good. I just want to make sure you're not getting my feedback. I'm listening.
Okay, I got you. The good thing is it's relatively the same pass catchers, so he doesn't have to necessarily build a new chemistry, although some wish he would have a little bit more practice time with Rashad Bateman. But he doesn't have to do that. It's not a new coordinator. It's not a new offense. So from his perspective, he's good. I think he'll be good. If you're going to get sick and miss some time, why not do it in the first 5 days and not the last 5? But I just wish for the younger guys that they'd have more time with Lamar. That's all.
Yeah, I think that we are both at the same point where it's like a bummer, and certainly for more than anyone, it's a bummer for Lamar Jackson. We're sitting here just as commentators, fans of the team, but I can only imagine, how much of a bummer it is for him. But it's certainly not anything that we would consider a detriment at this point, right? Like a long-term detriment. So, it is what it is. We'll hope for a clean slate next week and an opportunity for him to get out there and show that defense who he is, for those of them that don't know Mr. Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP. But yeah, I mean, situation. But I also wanted to quickly talk about Lamar with the, Zay being on the Lounge podcast. More people will often, yeah, I'm here. You got me?
Okay. Yeah, you went out for a second, but you're back.
Sorry. I was going to say that in Baltimore, we are used to, look, I think we've had on our team the greatest leader in football. I think that's fair to say. I think Ray Lewis is probably the greatest leader of men as a football player. And I don't think there's too many people that compare to him. I guess some people can say Tom Brady and others, but Ray is certainly at the top of the list. But certainly he was a different type of leader than Lamar Jackson. And some people, not Ravens fans, not those of you that watch the show, but for those of you that, maybe dabble or just listen to the national media or other teams' media, might think that Lamar Jackson isn't the leader that he needs to be, this, that, and the other. And, of course, there are narratives that go on about Lamar Jackson that are unwarranted. But I really thought it was cool, Zay talking about how Lamar just came to his place after that game. They hung out. I think it was like 2-3 days straight. They just hung out, talked about the game, talked about life, had some food, did their thing. But, they just spent time together. And Lamar was just like, dude, it's over, type thing. I'm paraphrasing here, but basically like, hey, man, it's over. It's over. On to the next type thing, right? And I just think that's powerful, right? Because I think that the ability to just be present for someone and give someone the value of your time, man, that's powerful stuff. And I think that's leadership in action, right? So shout out to Lamar Jackson. I mean, I think that he's the leader of our team. I think that as fans, and most of us do, but there's always those that don't. I think we should trust him as the leader of this organization, as a player. And, just feel good that, he's the type of guy that'll go out there and lift his teammates up, man. I love about Lamar. You can see those things on the outside, but you always wonder. And then you hear stories like that, and you're like, man, it's just a good dude. It's a solid leader and a guy that I'm glad he's a Raven and certainly not on another team.
Yeah, because we talked about how Ray was picking up guys like Billy Cundiff and Lee Evans when they had those epic drops and missed kicks in that AFC Championship game. And before, the game wasn't even over yet, and he's already picking guys' heads up and telling them to keep their chin up. And to hear Lamar at his age doesn't have a ring. Ray already had a ring at that point. He wanted another, and he ended up getting it, but he already had one, and his legacy was already cemented, but yet he was still, chin up, we'll be back. And to see Lamar do that as a guy who doesn't have that ring yet, he's still a young guy, and yet no, he didn't let his guy, his number one receiver, have his head down and be down on himself. So I love to see
in his own way, right? He didn't try and do something that wasn't him, that wasn't true to how he is. That's the cool part, man. Because I tell you what, Ray's a better guy than I am. Because I don't know if I would have tried to pick Billy Cundiff up or Lee Evans.
Zay's a little different story, but you're right.
Different.
Yeah,
different. Zay, but dude, I'm that old in my career. I worked this hard to get here at the end of the year. Bro, you're going to do that to me?
And same with Eric DaCosta. Remember, they brought up how he was standing right behind Zay for that whole presser. And look, I know how I was feeling. I know how Ravens fans were feeling on Twitter and the stuff they were saying about the fumble and all that stuff. These guys are more emotionally invested, and it's not even close than what just us fans are. But yet he was right there making sure he knew he had his back. And because obviously Zay took that hard. And to see his teammates and the organization have his back was pretty cool. But I wanted to get into some of the highlights, if that's okay, from today, because
I'll allow it.
Thank you. I appreciate that because it was a defensive day like the last 4 have been. But there were some highlights on both sides of the ball, so I wanted to quickly touch on that. I wanted to give credit. Kyle Barber's providing me a lot of these highlights via Twitter, and
Kyle's a busy man. We'd love to have Kyle on the show, but he's wearing a lot of hats. We'll hopefully have him on sooner rather than later. But you're right. Kyle's a grinder. Shout out to him, man.
Yeah, he's been helping us out certainly. But did want to give you some of the offensive highlights before we get into what the defensive side's been doing, because there's a lot. Unfortunately, there was more on the defensive side. But wide receiver Nelson Aguilar did catch a slant and ended up breaking the open field. But chased down from behind from the opposite side of the field by Nate Wiggins, who got him and tackled him at the 5-yard line to save the touchdown, Jimbo. So the rookie already showing the hustle and
I was going to say, he
speed.
was just showing off, dude. It was a perfect opportunity to get in there and turn it on and just show everybody what he's got. That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah. And look, this is practice, but he's still running to that whistle. And I love to hear it because Nelly probably thought he had a walk-in tutty. No, sir. Nate Wiggins hawking you down. I love to see it. Let's get to the super chat here. Cedric Teagle says, Harbs today said he's fighting through an illness. working with our doctors, doing all the tests and even more tests. I don't know. That seems unusual to me. Is that a little unusual to you guys as well? I mean, yeah, it
The fact that
is.
he's doing tests is
It's
unusual.
worrisome. It's worrisome because we just worrying about our guy. And typically a 27-year-old professional athlete is typically so healthy that when they do get ill, they're over it so quick. Their body fights it off. But to see him miss all this time, despite having an off day yesterday, it's worrisome. And I just hope, man, you don't even want to. I don't even want to say that kind of stuff. But you just really hope that no test reveals something more sinister. I don't know what's the right word.
Yeah, but I think that if that were the case, it would already be. You know what I mean? It would already be maybe not public, but it would already be known, right? Like,
right. I hope so. I mean, I just think it's gastrointestinal and he's dealing with some stomach issues. But hey, I will say this. Those who are hype about skinny Lamar, they better get real hype because if anyone knows, one unintended consequence to being ill is that if you want to lose a couple pounds, it helps a lot.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's a good
I always say I look skinny after I'm sick, dude.
He's probably evacuated a couple pounds, I'm sure.
You know,
might have pulled old Ron Swanson and cracked the toilet bowl.
My man's gonna come out looking trim, bro.
Oh no, but I'm not concerned. From a long-term perspective. The cool thing is, at this point in his life, like you said, Glenn, it's something unless it's something absolutely, life-changing. He's got a lot of margin for error. He'll be all right.
He'll be all right, absolutely. But it'd be nice. It'd be nice to see him back out there with the guys, no doubt about it.
But don't fret. Who put in that super chat? Who was that?
Cedric.
Yeah, don't fret, Cedric. Lamar will be back before you know it.
Before you know, you blink and he's back.
Yeah, you blink, he scores a touchdown. Actually, I also want to spend some time talking about. And we'll get to the Ravens highlights first. But if we got some extra time, I'd love to talk a little about the AFC North and get your take now that things are kind of rolling. Some other news is coming out around other teams. But anyway, all that being said, I want to talk. I want to. Oh, you know what? I cut you off mid-thought, Glenn. But I'm excited to talk about our defensive backs. So we'll get back to that. But I totally cut you off.
No, let's. I can go right there. So the Ravens did recently re-sign Daryl Worley. We talked about in our last episode. He had an interception today against Devin Leary and ran it all the way back for a tutty. Okay. So not the best day for Devin Leary, but a great day, like you said, for the secondary. And not to be outdone, 7th-round rookie safety Sanusi Kane got his first interception as a Raven after catching a deflected ball off of cornerback Kadar Hallman. And also Bump Cooper Jr., who I did not know was on the roster, and I do apologize, Bump Cooper. I'm sure you've earned it. But he also grabbed an interception today. But those are the picks of the day from the secondary. But also it looks like Arthur Mollett and Ardarius Washington both got sacks as they were blitzed at one point in training camp practice today. So what are you most excited about with the secondary, Jimbo?
I'll tell you what I'm most excited about. I've got to go back. I said this on the last show, but I've got to go back because sometimes I misremember things in my favor. I think we all kind of do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I was pretty bullish on Marlon Humphrey. About him having a bounce back this year.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I'm misremembering, but I feel like I was pretty confident Marlon's going to bounce back. And some folks out there that opine on all things Ravens are saying that he's been the training camp player, defensive, standout since, the inception of camp. So that has me the most excited about our defensive backs because, I mean, if Marlon comes back to Marlon form with the addition of Wiggins and Tampa and now Jackson and the emergence, obviously, of Kyle and the improvement of Brandon Stevens, man, that is just incredible to think about and really exciting. So the fact that Marlon is the one that's standing out in that group, a guy that a lot of people are doubting coming into the season, that's what's got me most excited. Like the depth and the talent. I mean, we're not just how many teams in the league right now, if Brandon Stevens or Nate Wiggins or Marlon were on their team, that's their 1A corner and then it's a drop off.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And we have 3 of them. Now, I don't know what Nate Wiggins is going to be yet, but my point is that he was a first-round pick for a reason. He's already showing signs, and he's got all the ability to be a good corner. So, I mean, it's just, dude, so exciting. I can't wait to see these guys in action. Like you said, Glenn, it's kind of difficult because our backup quarterbacks are basically Oprah right now. But, you get a pick, It's just kind of how it's going. But, yeah, I'm just so excited for these DBs because everyone's nervous about the quarterback pressure, and I get it. Like, cornerbacks and secondary, it's like who loses the latest. But these guys are going to be tough to just dice up.
Yeah, they're going to be tough. And, of course, the pass rush is going to help do their part. Sean Pisker is back in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. The legend has returned. He says,
Right.
Boys, can't wait to go through the season with y'all. Almost there. Always here for you guys. We certainly appreciate it.
Shout out and congrats, Sean. How many is that now? He's got 3?
I think so. 3 or 4.
That's awesome, man. Shout out, dude. And Sean, just so you know, I'm not driving.
That's right. Yeah, you don't have to jump in the whip and go pull them over.
That's right. My wife is driving.
Cannot wait for this game. Just like you said, Sean. And excited about the secondary and really excited about how the whole defense is going to work together. I think I have a little bit higher expectations, and I'll admit it. I'm allowing myself to get swept up in the Odafe Owe hype. I'm allowing it to happen. I'm diving right in. I'm jumping.
So what's the wager?
Comforter. Well, here's the wager. He's going to have double-digit sacks this year, and if he does,
okay.
But if he does, I want you to buy the jersey. But what's my?
That's what I was gonna say. Right, that's what I'm saying. What are you willing to wager? You're diving in.
I'm confident. Now, hold on? Are we gonna do any disclaimers? Are we gonna do any outs for injury? Can I get an out for an injury?
Well, yeah, because then I mean, man. Yeah,
because here's what I'll say. I'll give you this.
There's got to be a game threshold. It's got to be like
14.
14. All right, that's fair.
That's 3 games he could miss.
Yeah.
So 14. Fair. And I say he gets double-digit sacks, but I don't know what my penalty could be if I'm wrong, because I believe it, but damn.
Oh.
Sorry, Sean said he took care of it. He
will
be having no more children.
Anatomically, he is done. I get it.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. No, but we'll think of something. Chat, let us know what should be Glenn's penalty. He's so confident.
I think Eugene's trying to express to us his opinion right now.
Yeah, his opinion is he hates the car seat.
Yeah, he's not thrilled. He's not thrilled, and he is making his presence felt on the show.
Yeah, sorry guys, but
I don't. I'll come up with something. Maybe you guys can help us out. Come up with something, because I am confident that Jimmy is going to be paying the price this year.
Double digits, dude.
That's nothing.
Like double digits for Odafe Owe.
Nothing to him.
Man, I'd even double down and say that Kyle Van Noy's going to have more sacks than him.
Oh, that's a good one. Now, Kyle Van Noy did miss practice today, dealing with a neck issue. So maybe we should have left him on the couch until week 1 or 2. I think that might have been the safer.
We're probably going to save some money, too.
That's right. But no, Kyle Van Noy did have a neck issue today, so let's hope that'll get back to normal. I did also want to point out another highlight.
Yeah, but really quick. I'm not ready to move off of this, Glenn.
What?
Chad, you have to help give me a penalty here. I'm depending on you, because Glenn needs to be penalized when he's wrong. It's just that simple.
No penalty. You see this? No penalty. Lisa Ann says no penalty.
Of course. Lisa, by the way, I hope everything went well with your appointment and your birthday.
If Eugene continues to get upset in the back, do you think it would be a problem if you guys pulled over, take him out, and just put him in the trunk for the rest of the road?
The problem is it's a wagon. There's no trunk.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay. Put him in that top thing you guys got, dude. That turtle shell thing.
It's got some holes, He's got plenty of ventilation. He'll be all right. There you go. I like it, Jax. Glenn has to.
Whoa, Jax. Hold on.
Yes,
you have to buy a jersey. I got to commit to a training and then a full-on 5K.
I will wear the jersey for every show from the moment he hits double digits to the end of the season.
I'm going with Eugene. He don't like it, dude. I'm going with him. He's not feeling that. It just seems like I'm getting the short end of that stick in a big, big way. Okay. I don't like this one bit. Living legend, don't double down. Don't say yes. No. First of all,
Look, they're turning on the people's chant, Glenn.
I say, oh, if you believe in Owe, you'll do it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You guys. What did I say that caused the pause? What did I say? I don't know what I said. I must have said something. I don't know what. Okay, you know what?
You're getting the short end of that stick in a big, big
14.
way.
If he plays 14 plus games and he doesn't get 10 sacks, I'm running a 5K.
All right, done.
But I still haven't figured out your penalty yet. Because if you think you're getting off by just buying a jersey, then you're out of your mind. You are out of your mind, okay? But he does get double-digit sacks this year. Yeah. So let me just go over this one for you because this is I love this battle here. The battle between Devontae Walker and Nate Wiggins throughout really the next however many years is going to be fun to watch because Harbaugh gave the young players an opportunity to end practice early today where the offense was lined up at the 4-yard line and have 3 plays to score a touchdown. They only needed 1, Jimbo. They take the snap, or Devin Leary takes the snap. He floats the ball to the corner of the end zone on a fade route. Devontae Walker catches it over Nate Wiggins. I love those two are going to be battling for years, Jimbo. Years. I love it. And our iron sharpens iron. Let's just hope these guys don't get their feet tangled up. I don't need to see any of that. We saw a lot of that with Marlon Humphrey over the years. Nobody getting their feet tangled. I want to see the best against the best. I love that. But I don't want to see nobody getting their feet tangled up. So just play hard but protect each other, I'll say.
Yeah, remember that you're on the same team. But yeah, do everything you can to make each other better. That's awesome and a lot of fun to see. No, that's exciting.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. And I got to say, Zach Orr and the confidence he's showing on the defensive side of the ball, because sometimes when I'm watching him talking about, how he's going to do things, his expectations for him, his defense, himself in the new role, I must say I'm spotting to try and see if he's faking confidence. Like I'll watch his just to try and see, because sometimes, like I talked about on the show, one of the last ones I did alone, I talked about how sometimes you got to fake confidence. I do it to myself where I'm like, oh, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'll fake it to myself. I got this. This is nothing. And hope that it turns into legitimate confidence. So I'm looking at Zach Orr going, is he ready for this? Because I just got done hearing, if you guys haven't seen it, Sean McVay was on some podcast and he talked about facing the Ravens defense. And he talked about not just how incredible the players were, but how well coached we were, how organized we were, how we played as a team, as one unit, and how challenging that was to go up against. And so Zach Orr was asked, that's a high bar, and he seems so incredibly confident that he's going to be able to match or, of course he's going to say exceed, but at least live up to the standard that, that's been set here in Baltimore. And I got to say, Jimbo, I don't see any fake confidence. I don't see any BSing. This guy, he believes it. He believes he can be better. And yes, they lost Jadeveon Clowney, and that's a big loss. And they lost some guys in the secondary with Geno Stone and the guy we kept saying his name wrong last year, calling him Roby. No, we kept calling him. Are you getting arrested, Jimbo? Okay, because there's flashing lights.
No, there's a pretty serious accident in the middle of 95. That's all. We're just going around it.
Gotcha. Okay. But there's been a lot of additions too, and like it's not crazy to think that Eddie Jackson could replicate or even surpass what Geno did. It's not crazy to think that Nate Wiggins could be a better cornerback than what we got last year from Roby, right? We always got their names wrong. Roby
and Darby. We had Darby, yes. Right?
Did we have Darby and I kept calling him Roby? See, I did it wrong again. I'm so sorry. But so Jadeveon's a big loss, but if we can replicate his sack production through a combination of Travis Jones getting better, from Odafe Owe getting more production, from David Ajabo, from Tavius Robinson, who I know you like and has kind of picked as a sleeper, if we can replicate it from a combination and not just from one guy bringing 10 sacks in his back pocket, then hey, why can't we be a better defense? We got a bigger, stronger version of Pat Queen right in the middle that a lot of people think he could be better than Pat Queen.
Had a big play today.
Exactly. So let's I'm starting to buy into Zach Orr being like, I don't know if Mike McDonald was as he was integral, but I'm saying I don't think the defense is going to leave now that he's gone.
No, well, the thing that I learned from an interview with Jim Harbaugh is that this is John's defense.
Oh.
This, you know what I mean? This is. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, but it's loud. I hate to say it.
No, sorry. Is that better?
No, it's all good. Yeah, no, you're not. It was just when Eugene goes, it's just picking him up.
Oh, really I gotcha. No, I was gonna say that this is John's defense, and it's not Mike McDonald's defense. The reason that Mike McDonald ran this defense is because he learned it from John. And so, this is how I feel about Zach Orr and why you should be so confident is that Zach Orr is more prepared to step into this role than any defensive coordinator we've had in recent future and maybe ever, only because who else has been so indoctrinated by John Harbaugh's defensive philosophies? Mm-hmm. Who else has had as much success as a player than Zach Orr, following the philosophies of John Harbaugh defensively? He should feel confident. He should, you know what I mean? Because he's done it. He's proven it to himself. So, look, he's going to stick next to the guy that's continued to help him prosper and taught him not everything he knows, right? But, like, what I mean is that no one knows this system as well as a guy that plays in it. I firmly believe that, right? So he's on – when you have someone that's on both sides of the house, like, that's powerful, man. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Zach Orr can do. But that was a big revelation for me when GM talked about how much he just plucked John's defense. He kept calling it John's defense from the Ravens, not Wink Martindale's defense, not Mike McDonald's defense. This is John's baby, right? So I think that's a big, a really important piece of this thing that is the continuity of our defensive improvement. And so, yeah, I agree with you from the sack production standpoint, but also, like I talked about before, I think our secondary will be better, significantly better than it was last year. Brandon Stevens has another year now. Marlon Humphrey's going to have a big bounce back. Nate Wiggins is added here, like I said. Eddie Jackson could be, if not, at least what Geno was, if not more. Marcus Williams will have 2 arms again.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
You know what I mean? So that's a huge deal. I really have high expectations of defense, and Zach should be confident, man. I'm excited for him.
Yeah, no doubt. And look, the other area of concern, because a lot of people are saying, "Wow, can this defense even be close?" Well, the other thing they're saying is, can this offensive line be even close to as good? It wasn't like this was the dominant, best offensive line in football last year. So if they're worse, it certainly has concerns. But your guy Tyler Linderbaum was asked about that today. Can you hear this?
Oh, I can't. No. Yeah, you got to just hit the button.
Daniel's continuing to get better and better. Obviously, he hasn't played that position much, but he's a natural for his size, how well he moves. And just now is getting familiar with that position, and then working with each other on certain combo blocks, how we see things and stuff like that. It's certainly fun to have.
What do you think about that, Jimbo?
Love to hear it, man.
Daniel's
I absolutely love to hear it. Don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I saw him, and I saw them have that same rack-looking thing. Looks like a big-ass bike rack that all those giant human beings get up under to try and keep, the reminder to keep your pad level low when you're driving forward. They had Lele's big ass got under there, and he got under there quicker this year, Jimbo. He didn't look like he needed to back his way in like a U-Haul truck.
Or like a banker.
He went right under it and exploded out of the front of it with keeping his pad level low, just like you want. I mean, I think he's worked on his flexibility this past offseason. It looked like it showed already. And Jimbo, you might have been onto something with Lele. I'm even seeing Cole. Cole is starting to break down, dude. He's breaking down like a horse in the pasture. He's starting to join the Lele train, Jimbo. How do you keep doing this?
Look, this one in particular is really just about my personal experience with Lele and Polynesians. Dude, they're just built like that. You know what I mean? It's like relative to how we are as people. If you're big and you move, right? Like, no one questions how a bear runs 35 miles an hour.
That's true.
Right? Like, why does anyone? They're look at a bear. They're
And
big
how they
and
can climb a
fast.
tree and like no
Yeah,
problem.
you know what I mean? Like, no one questions the velocity of a bear when they run. Like, it's kind of the same principle. Like, that's just, dude, that's just how he's built, man. If he played football or not, he'd be built the same. That's the thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it just kind of is what it is, man. I'm excited about him and really looking forward to. And the thing it's going to come down to for him, just like you said, is he gonna put in the work?
Right.
Because I believe that at his size, he has rare physical or athletic gifts at his size. Not that he's some like otherworldly athlete like Haloti Nada. That dude is a different level, right? But my point is that for his size, I think he has abnormal athleticism, but he's got to continue to put in the work to put it to use. And look, that might end up being the big difference between him and Ben Cleveland in the near term. He might long term, have a better future because he's a better athlete, but in the near term, it might just simply be he's putting in more work.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say to those who are saying that this is just them experimenting, I hear you. And they did last year. We saw Saleh get first team reps at left guard before John Simpson ultimately took over and never gave the job up. But that was more so in OTAs and minicamp. To be doing this, albeit in the first week of training camp, I hear you. But I still think it's interesting to point out, and I don't think it's necessarily just to move guys around. And because, look, they still have to get these guys ready to play week one. So I don't think it's they're just trying things around. Like, I do think Rosengarten will be the number one right tackle, and right now McCary's getting it. But he's a rookie, and he's got a lot to work on. He's got a lot of strength to put on. And so I don't think it's unreasonable to say that McCary will be listed as the right tackle starter for a little while. But Rosengarten will eventually take over. But also, Jimbo, the reports from left guard Andrew Voorhees coming out of camp are nothing but amazing. Nothing short of exceeding expectations.
There you go.
He's been nothing. Thank you. He's done nothing but be a bright light in a room where everybody's going. We feel good about really one guy. We feel okay about Stanley. We feel really good about Linderbaum. But Voorhees has been absolutely lighting it up all offseason, including the start of training camp. Are you allowing yourself to go, all right, we're okay at left guard, or is it still too early for that?
It's too early for me only because of this. I wholeheartedly believe that he is everything we need him to be at left guard. But from high school through college, he's always been banged up. And it's been on and off and on and off and on and off. And I feel like when I say this, it's coming off as like a knock on him or something he can do differently. That's not the case at all. Sometimes guys just have bad luck. You know what I mean? And so the fact that he bench pressed the most reps of all offensive linemen with a torn ACL means that he puts in work off the field. So there's no questioning that. Sometimes guys just have bad luck. But at the same time, you think of plenty of guys like I always go back to the Panthers guy that they almost gave up on. What was his name? Thomas. He has like two first names. He played middle linebacker next to Kuechly.
Thomas Davis.
Thomas Davis. Yeah, there you go. Right? Like, he had like 3 ACLs or 2 ACLs, something crazy, right? Like, you even think of a guy like Nick Chubb. You go to some of these other guys where, but eventually that bad luck either ends your career or you just stop having bad luck. You know what I mean? So we'll just hope for Voorhees that, like, maybe his bad luck is over and maybe being here, being in the facility, taking it as a full-time job, things like that. Yeah, taking it as a full-time job instead of just as a something you do for fun with the boys. Like, his body will be more prepared and things like that. So I'm hoping the bad luck ends. But my point is that skill-wise, I'm convinced. Even from college, like, the kid can get it done. But I just hope he stays healthy.
Yeah, that's
the other thing, Glenn,
the
other thing I was going to say, too, is I think you talked about it, but I just wanted to clarify to make sure I understand correctly. Obviously, McCary's at right tackle. So when you were saying that, like, obviously Rosengarten has to earn it, and I get it. Do you think that week one, Rosengard will be the right tackle, or do you think it could take some time? I wanted to get clarification on that.
So right now, where I'm at now, and this could change as soon as tomorrow, but where I'm at right now, I have it Ronnie Stanley, Andrew Voorhees, Tyler Linderbaum, Fa Lele, and Roger Rosengarten. But I do, as week one, but I do think that McCary will probably get a lot. Like, they're going to ease Roger into the number one rep spot, but I think by, let's say, mid-August, he's going to start taking over for number one right tackle.
And so to that point, a couple things. One, I mean, I think this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. I don't think it's an indictment on Rosengarten by any stretch of the imagination if he isn't the starter on week one. I don't think it's an indictment on what the Ravens think about him or his career, or, you know, his ceiling as a player moving forward. I think obviously it's a huge indictment. On the other hand, on Ben Cleveland, if Lele just takes this job from him, I see those very differently.
Yes, me too.
You know, so I you know, that's something. But the other thing I was going to mention too is I only because I said it before, I'm nervous about Rosengarten starting week one because when Vinny talked about his strength being an issue, I don't know if you've heard anything since then. That's what has me concerned for early on him starting. Who knows? Maybe he needs a redshirt year to hit the weight room or to, I don't know. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised though if McCary's the week one starter.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they might feel he's just the best guy for that day or for that week. But let's just hope, because the thing that worries me is that McCary, at least just looking at him, doesn't look like a ton stronger than Roger. Like, when you just see him, it's not like you go, wow, you can tell the difference. He's so big and strong. He just fights his ass off in there. Like, he just battles his ass off no matter what the task is. So I hope that because he's just so much more athletic and smoother and just has such a higher ceiling, I'm really hopeful that Roger takes that. But
yeah. Dude, hey, Glenn, you ever seen the movie McFarlane?
I don't think I have, actually. I remember seeing the preview.
Anyway, if you haven't, partner, of course, the major, I forgot the actor's name, but am I there?
You're kind of there, but you
got me?
Yeah, you're a little fuzzy, but go ahead.
Sorry. Anyway, so what I was going to say is that Kevin Costner goes to the school originally to be a football coach, and he walks over to the field and he sees this kid wearing a linebacker number that doesn't look like a linebacker. He's wearing 53, and the kid's like, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog type thing, right? Mm-hmm. They go out there on the field, and the kid gets absolutely destroyed. And he's like, big dog, huh? Like, that's what McCary is like, right? Like, it's really not – yeah, you're right. He doesn't fit the bill in a lot of ways, you know? But he just goes out there and he fights and he fights and he scraps and he gets the job done more times than not, man. But you're right. I mean, as far as who we want out there, it's probably Rosengarten, right? Partly because we want to save McCary's versatility as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and his versatility game day is really incredible.
But here's the last thing I'll say about the offensive line real quick, Glenn.
Sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
I would encourage everyone, more than normal, more than any year, keep your eye and news, keep your eye on the news and updates from the offensive line, because this year, I think more than normal years, because we're going to have 3 new starters potentially on the offensive line, the volatility of this position group is very high. So, and we're going to live and die in a lot of ways by this group. So, stay informed, stay on top of it. Obviously, we'll do everything we can to keep you up on it, but more than you normally would, right? Like, watching wide receivers is fun, but we need these boys up front to be locked in, and we need to feel good about them. So keep your eyes peeled when you're watching the big old boys up front as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, we do have some league news I want to get your take on, because we saw some big contracts get inked today around the league, and the first of which was Tua got his bag. He got a 4-year, $212.4 million extension, which, man, that's a sizable amount. So with Tua getting 4 for $212, you can see where that kind of ranks him here with Joe Burrow 5 for $275. And typically they're 5-year deals. So it's kind of interesting that they went with the 4-year model. But you can see, even with the one less year, He's right up there, man. Right up there. And then right behind him, not to be outdone, just a few hours later, Jordan Love gets his bag. And then again, a 4-year deal, this time $220 million. Holy smokes. Highest paid quarterback in NFL history. $75 million signing bonus, Jimbo. Just for writing his name down, they gave him $75 million. Plus $155 million in full guarantees. Wow. Must be nice. I want to be a quarterback.
Nice. My question on you.
Uh-oh. We lost you for a second. What'd you say?
Sorry, I was just saying, I had my questions about Jordan Love. Like, I don't know if I have as many of those, but I had my questions about him for a while.
Yeah, he played his ass off last year. Got to give that guy credit on the youngest offense, I think, maybe to ever make the playoffs, if I remember correctly. Like, I think they were the youngest.
Who did they take out in the first round, too? Was that the Cowboys?
The Cowboys, dude, in Jerry World, beat them. Didn't even just beat them. Destroyed them.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not kidding. But I tell you what, I have more confidence in him, in the Packers getting the value out of that contract than I do the Dolphins getting the value out of Tua. The problem I have with Tua is like, and people say the same thing about Lamar Jackson, which is not true. Like Tua just, I don't know. I don't know what the stats are. He doesn't seem to play well against playoff teams.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair statement.
I've made this analogy before, but he's like the really good kid on JV that just goes up to varsity, and you're like, this is not the same kid.
No, you're right. I remember, I'm looking it up right now, but I don't know if they had many wins at all against a winning team last year. I think that if you look at when they came to Baltimore, they had a great record, but that's because they hadn't played anyone, and they were beating up on a bunch of bums. So yeah, here we go. So they beat the Chargers. Didn't end up being a good team. They beat New England. They beat Denver. They beat the Giants. They beat the Panthers. Again, the Patriots again. They beat the Raiders, the Jets, the Commanders, the Jets again, Dallas. I mean, yeah. They
yeah, it's a bunch of doo-doo teams, and then they, the Ravens.
They ran to Baltimore.
Right, and we, what were we doing? What were we talking about last year? That we were getting the gauntlet.
Well, they were 11-4 when they came to Baltimore, Jimbo, and we beat them 56-19.
Embarrassing, right? And we had already gone through so many tough teams at that point that it was like an appetizer for us, right?
Yeah, and to your point, their losses. Here's their losses, Jimbo. They lost to the Buffalo Bills. Good team, playoff team. Then they lost to the Eagles, playoff team, were number 1 seed for most of the year. Then they lost to the Chiefs, Super Bowl champs. Then they lost to the Titans, who were, competing for their division. Then they lost to the Ravens and then the Bills again. So every good team they played, they lost to. So, yeah, I think that's a good point. That Tua, they got to get it done against the good teams.
Yeah, and I don't know. Look, I could be totally wrong, and I'm super old school, man. I feel like every day of my life I sound older and older by a year. Like a day goes by and I get a year older in my mentality. But I don't know, man. Having the most guaranteed money in skill positions paid out, if I'm not mistaken, I think that they're the only team to have 3 players with over $70 million guaranteed between the 2 wide receivers and the quarterback or something like that. Each player with over $70 million or some. Yeah, the Dolphins.
Wow.
It's some statistic that is, they're the only team that has X amount of guaranteed money to these positions. And of course, they're skill positions. I don't know if you win that way. Like the Chiefs don't even win that way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I don't know. I don't know. That's not the way that I want my football team to be built. That's just me. Look, it might be flashy, might be fun, but I don't know when it gets cold outside if it's gonna be winning football.
And the Packers, man, they got a young, good core, man. I agree. Yep. I think I'd rather be a Packers fan today than a Dolphins fan. But Don C, let's see, says just remember every year the position we think is our biggest concern usually isn't bad, but one we expect to be great sucks. Go Ravens. You're right, and it's typically because a rash of injuries hits a position that we think is a position of strength. and it quickly turns us into shopping on the scrap heap. We saw it with cornerback a few years ago where we were literally cutting starting caliber corners at the end of the season only to be, picking guys up off the flea market in week 4. So you're right. I don't know I don't even want to guess at what that, I was almost going to say, can we guess at what that position would be? But that is just a horrible idea. So I will not guess.
Yes, terrible idea.
But yeah. So or how about this? If you would just address the first half where he says, our biggest concern usually isn't that bad. So what concern that we have right now do you think is most likely to end up being a position of strength?
The offensive line.
Okay. I like that.
I think I think they have the widest range. And I think that's what Don was commenting when I was talking about the offensive line, but because they have this range of high-end potential as a group. And I think that really a lot of that has to do with them. 4 out of the 5 guys that are potential starters, Linderbaum, Ronnie, Falele, and Rosengarten, high-level athletes for their position.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me means that the opportunity they have to go out there and gel and pick things up and learn on the fly quickly. If you're a high athlete guy, like if you're a high-level athletic guy, that those things can happen. If you're not, it's less likely. So I think that's a position that can really take off and take off quick. So yeah, to answer your question, I see it as the offensive line, or it can just go the other way, right, and be bad. But I think the offensive line is the group that can end up not being a concern and being a group that we really lean on.
Yeah, I think one position, now it's not a whole group like O-line is, but I think it's possible. And people are going to call, and look, I feel when I'm saying it that people are going to say you're being a hater. But Trenton Simpson could definitely be better than Patrick Queen. I don't think that's crazy. When he's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger, and he's still playing next. Huh?
Sorry, you mean like he could be better than? So he can be better this year than Patrick Queen was last year. Is that what you're saying?
Look, Patrick Queen was the All-Pro last year. I think that's a bit of a big statement here. Okay, so I'm saying for the long term, but
okay.
I'm telling you, Roquan Smith is going to have this guy, Trenton Simpson, running through walls and ripping heads off. I have a lot of confidence in Trenton Simpson. I think he's going to be playing like crazy. So,
well, and look, wasn't Zach Warren All-Pro?
All-Pro, baby.
And so he's got the perfect DC for it. Zach Warren's been the same exact scenario that Simpson is in. So we believe that Trenton Simpson is more athletically gifted, and has a good head on his shoulders, because obviously Zach Warren went undrafted, but the head on his shoulders, his ability to learn, his discipline, all that took him over the top. So if he has some semblance of that, it's fair to say that all of those same goals are within his reach, because, like you talked about, he's got the guy next to him. He's already got Batman. He just has to be the best Robin ever.
Yes.
The best Robin in the league, right? So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, man. Whew, that's a good point. Good point.
I'm telling you, this guy is faster than him. He's stronger than him. He's bigger than him. So as long as he doesn't have it, as long as he's not lost between the ears, then, why not? Why can't he be? Because we already questioned Pat Queen in his early years with his instincts. We questioned his play smarts at times. We certainly saw him lost in coverage at times where he's spinning around and guys are just taking advantage of him. Let's just see what old Trenton has today, has this season. I got a lot of confidence in him, but I think we need to see Lamar Jackson back at practice if for nothing else, just to make sure the guy's okay. And so I'm going to be hoping for that overnight. I'm going to be hoping that we hear good things from the doctor's report, if we do even hear one, or at the very least just see Lamar out there, because I just want to know that my quarterback's okay. Okay, Jimbo?
I'm with you there, Glenn. We need to make sure he's okay and that he's riding high, ready to go.
Yeah, I just hope the guy's healthy and okay and out there. And then once he is, let's get some work for this offense and get back at the defense a little bit. The defense has got to be walking around with their chest poked out, just feeling themselves right now, Jimbo. And look, that's my defense too, so I feel good about that. But I need the offense to be able to have a little bit of something to brag about.
Yeah, for some reason, I can envision Marlon Humphrey right now walking in the locker room with one of those big old boom boxes over here with 12D batteries. You know what I'm talking about? Just banging out.
Yes.
And, just super tons of swag. That's right, dude.
Yeah,
walk
like
in the locker room.
they got all the bragging rights. The offense can't say a whole lot right now. So I'm hopeful that we see the offense get some shots in. But I think that's it for us tonight, guys. We will certainly be back in the very near future to keep you up to date. If you enjoyed the stream, please don't forget to hit the like button. It helps push us out to other people's suggestions, helps push us out to more Ravens fans, and it's a simple way to help the stream. Lisa Ann, Justin, Jax, appreciate you coming out. D Banks, appreciate you coming out. Don C, as always, Jax, Living Legend, John J, everybody who participated. We didn't see Tanja tonight. Miss Tanja in there. Blitzbacker, what's going on? Appreciate. I think that's a new name in the
yeah, I think so.
And I saw Don welcome him into the chat, so I appreciate that, Don. But thank you guys.
Bro, Glenn, sorry, I just want to say this one more time.
What's
I'm
up?
so excited for you to run a 5K.
I'm not gonna have to run no 5K.
I'm so excited.
I'm not gonna have
there'll
to,
be only
brother.
one way that you won't is that if he gets injured.
No, he's getting to double-digit sacks, Jimbo. He's gonna have 14. I'm like a car salesman. I got you down to 10. This is easy money for me. He's gonna have that by week 12.
Oh, I cannot wait. All the memes I'm gonna send you.
You know what? You're eating the microphone cover. That's my punishment. We're bringing it back.
So I can die? You're sentencing me to death?
I'm just saying, bro. Hold on, dude. Hold on. Let me see something here, brother.
Oh, boy. What's going on here? Oh, God.
You see this?
It's going right
there
in
we
the
go.
smoothie,
Put
dude.
some Dijon mustard on this thing, brother.
Right in the sandwich. Oh, gross. I can't wait, dude. I'm so looking forward to it.
Yes.
But anyway, I guess that's it for us.
Yeah, that's it for us tonight. We will be back soon, folks. Appreciate you coming out, and we'll talk to you soon. See you.
See ya.